Hi guys, welcome to Christmas and Performance. So before I went on holiday, I brought you a video with 5 fat loss tips. So at the end of that I was going to bring you another video where we talk about 5 weight training tips, so how you can actually set up your weight training program, specifically if you're female and if you're a beginner. Now these tips will apply to someone who's a more intermediate / advanced trainee as well, so I hope you enjoy them. So number 1. Use exercises that are multi-joint, multi-muscle movements. So we call these compound movements. So we're looking at things like a squat, bench press, a chin-up, a deadlift, a shoulder press, a leg press, a row. So big muscles, big movements. This is going to be able to allow us to access more muscle fibers, stimulate more of a response from that training, and also help us build muscle whilst we're dropping body fat. Number 2, start with lower repetitions at the start of your program. So lower repetitions, I'm talking anywhere between sort of 6 to 12 repetitions, not much lower than that, because remember, right at the start you're learning technique, you're learning the movement physically and neuromuscularly as well. But what this will allow us to do is to actually activate the sympathetic nervous system. So we start actually releasing hormones that are responsible for helping us liberate fat, so breaking down that stored fat. Now most women tell me that their stubborn body fat is on their abdomen, their hips and their thighs, so we're going to want to access this, aren't we? If we start with high repetitions at the start of a session, we're not necessarily getting the greatest response in relation to that. Number 3, lower rest periods. So everybody's seen these type of people in the gym. You'll do an exercise and then you'll rest for 5 minutes, maybe go off, talk to somebody, maybe even answer a call. Now the type of rest that we're talking about, to lose body fat, it needs to be structured and it needs to be quite low as well. So obviously if you're a beginner, you're going to need more rest at the start, and as you actually start building some fitness, building some muscle mass, getting leaner, you're going to reduce that rest. So ideally you want to start off at anywhere between 60 to 120 seconds. That will be too much, 120 seconds for most of you. And then strategically lower it down. So try and take off 10-15 seconds every couple of weeks in that rest period. This will allow us to access more lactate, increase growth hormone, and drop more body fat. Number 4, tip number 4, so higher volume. So it's true that women can actually deal with stress hormones much better, physiologically speaking, than men can. So this actually means that your training programs in terms of volume need to be slightly higher than a man's, especially as you've got more areas that tend to hold more stubborn body fat. So when I'm talking about volume, I'm obviously not talking about the amount of volume on your iPod. I'm more talking about volume of training. So how many sets we're going to do within a session. So we might be starting out as a beginner, we might start around 16 to 20, and we might want to build that up to 20, 25, even 30, depending on where you go with it. Okay, last tip, increase blood flow. So the biggest thing for women generally is they don't have the same blood vessel network as men. And it's true that peripheral tissue, so fat tissue, is the hardest place to reach. So we want to increase blood flow. We want to really get things working. So increasing heart rate, increasing cardiac output, increasing stroke volumes, so that we can actually start breaking down fat. So how are we going to do this? Well, what I generally find for a beginner works really well is we're going to take an upper body exercise and we're going to pair that with a lower body exercise. Now what this will allow us to do is to shunt blood and increase the demand for blood around the body. This then gives us a greater chance of increasing these hormones that are then going to help us lose body fat, but also increase the blood flow that we need to in order to get there. So if we're putting this together, how would this look? So we're going to pick a compound movement. So this might be a squat. We're going to start with lower reps first. We're going to go anywhere between 6 and 12. For a beginner, I might go 8 to 12. We're going to lower the rest period. So that might be 60 seconds. We're going to have higher volume. So that might be 3 to 4 sets. And we're going to increase blood flow by pairing this with an upper body exercise, which might be a bench press, 8 to 12 reps, 60 seconds, 3 to 4 sets. So you can see very simply how we're piecing this together specifically for a woman to be able to access stored body fat and start losing body fat. So fundamentally, that's how I'd like to set it up. If you want to drop any comments, any likes just below, then feel free to do that. If you'd like a more advanced video, so where I actually start talking about the programming, as in how would you set it up and how would it look when we're talking about the different exercises, the different rest periods, then please drop a like and drop a comment saying advanced video below. And you can find us online at www.chrismasonperformance.com, and we'll speak to you shortly.